Hello and welcome to another edition of Around the Ice on Fantasy and Frames, a hockey podcast. With me tonight, we got the whole crew. The whole crew's here. JT, I'm your host with Toast, with Aaron. We're going to be talking about a little bit of everything. Usually we jump right into the bets segment, but there's only 3 games on the night. They've already started. So we're going to go around the ice first to get things started tonight.
Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
So as we jump in here tonight, looking at what's going on, current action in the NHL, we got the Islanders up 5-2 over the Rangers. New York headed against each other at the end of 2. Pre-show, I was telling these guys, we're getting here, I'm going to tell everybody to live bet Colorado because they're down 1-0 to Ottawa. They just tied it up. It's 1-1 with 5:56. So we just missed our window. We just missed the window to live bet Colorado. So it's 1-1 right now. You can still live bet them, but it's going to be much worse odds now. 1-1 with 5:55 left in the second. And then Columbus currently leading the Flyers 3-1. They're also late in the second. So, guys, let's talk about this. We're coming up on the break for Olympics, right? So teams are like trying to figure out where are we right now. I think you have to make a decision whether you're in it or you're out before the Olympic break. Am I wrong on that, or is that the right thing to think of? Like, hey, make a decision before the break.
Yeah, I think so. And I will go so far as to say I know so. Look what the Rangers did. They sat Panarin working on a trade for him. He didn't even play tonight, so he's done. He probably played his last game in a Ranger sweater. They're going to look to move him. So again, sometimes these fantasy leagues mimic real life. Sometimes they don't. I guess it depends on your league, but depending on where you're at in your league, yeah, I'd say it's if you're fortunate enough to not hit your deadline and you're a loser that lost out and missed out on your playoffs, but you still got a week before the break or into this week, or when the break actually kicks off, unload it, make the decision, get them out there. NHL's doing it. That's a good signal for you to do it. If you're waiting out, give up a false hope. I mean, heck, and we'll talk about the leagues I know in a minute, our home league and then our listener league, but perfect examples are the sometimes guest we have, Gail, Toast brother. He and I came to a deal. I'm in the playoffs. He's technically in, but he's like, hey, I'm not going to kid myself. I'm not going to make it out of the first round. So he's building. Again, this guy's made about 500,000 moves, but he's got a completely different roster. But you got to kind of, you look at that, and I think, yeah, you got to, yeah, absolutely. There's next year, the draft. This draft should be, again, if this is completely speculative, but this draft should be another deep one like we've had the last two. The NHL entry draft, I mean. So this is a really good year to do that. Maybe shoot for some of those top 10 picks. I think you got some can't miss guys in that group, just like we had in the last group. After that, I haven't heard as many names. Not to say there's always top end talent in every draft, but it might be before these. I mean, again, just look at where we're at. We got Celebrini arguably taking over. In most fantasy leagues, it's McDavid, McKinnon, or McKinnon, McDavid, Celebrini. It's those three guys, those three names. You got Bedard, you got Schaefer, you got these impact players. So yeah, just because you lost out on this year, don't sweat it, but don't just sit there idly and just be like, oh, I'm not going to do anything. Be Gale. Don't be the guys that just don't even look at it or have already thrown in the towel. Try to make a splash and do something. So.
Yeah, and JT and Aaron, glad you actually brought Panarin. That's who I really want to talk about here. Yeah. And guys, you look and see. Of course, you knew he was going to be on the trade block. And also, there's been rumors that Trocheck's actually going to maybe be going somewhere too. They're going to want to clean house. And I got some shares of Trocheck, so the good thing is Trocheck actually just does a little bit of everything. He'll hit, he'll actually block, he'll actually have a lot of shots on goal as well. So he'll fill up the stat sheet. But I want to make a prediction on where I think Artemi Panarin's going to go. And guys, I've read nothing online to support this.
Okay.
JT, I think he's going to be a Detroit Red Wing. I think that's what's going to happen. They actually have
I
some
love it.
space. They really need to bolster that top six. They got a good top six, but and compared to the elite teams, they don't have the top six that the elite teams do. And man, you add him to the mix, and boy, I tell you what, I'm just looking right now. The Red Wings, they're still plus 1,400 as an Atlantic Division winner. The Lightning's minus 700, and I know that's real tight right now. So I think the favorite for me, you go through a lot of the teams and basically where it makes sense, they were the first team that jumped off the page at me, and I really thought that would actually make a lot of sense here. So, I mean, something's in the works. You don't take a guy out of the lineup right now unless you actually have talks going on, right? There's talks with multiple teams going on. That means a deal is imminent at some point, whether it be in the next 24 to 48 hours. It's going to happen, and probably tomorrow. He'll be in a different sweater. And I think that's going to be the Detroit Red Wings.
I'll jump in here real quick. I think this is a good move. Even if they don't keep him long term, like you said, they got the space. They can make a move for this year. I really like this team, but they are relying on quite a few young guys.
They're getting the goaltending, JT.
They're getting the goaltending is finally putting it together, but they need a little. I mean, I love Finney. He's a rookie. He's been crushing it. He's not Panarin. At least at this point, he's not Panarin. You know, you got Van Riemsdyk. He's been, I mean, just a banger inside, making plays, getting in front of the goal, getting crazy. God, they need somebody else. If you could add him in to those first two lines and then pop somebody down to the third line would help them out. Because I mean, they're super heavy at top. I mean, they got Casper on the front line. I like Casper a lot. But like just think about putting Panarin with Raymond and Larkin on the top line and then moving Casper down one and then moving somebody else down one. Oh, ooh. I just feel like that, man. Then you could put Casper on that third line with Finney and Comfer, and then you got Panarin on that first line with Larkin and Raymond. That second line, Cop, DeBrincat, and Kane.
Yeah.
I feel like it makes them a lot better. I really do. I really do. That feels like this. Gail texted me earlier today, your brother, Gail. He's like, ooh, Panarin not playing tonight. What do you think? I was like, I think there's a shot. He's a Red Wing. I was like, I told him, I was like, we're going to talk about it on the show tonight. I do think there's a chance they make that move. Part of the reason is they've been clearing space for a while here to be able to maybe go out and make a move like this. Now, I will give Stevie Y the benefit that he hasn't made a crazy move in the last 2 years where they were like on the verge of making the playoffs, but they didn't. He didn't make a crazy move. He waited. Now's the time where they're at the top of the division with Tampa Bay. I think this is the time. If you're going to make a splash move, this is the time to make a splash move for him. Now, the question is, what are they going to give up? Hopefully, they're giving up some guys in the minors and not a ton of guys in the, like, I'd hate to see him give up like Finney, those guys already in the lineup. But Panarin's we've seen him. We saw him in Chicago. He's a machine. So I think he would fit with that team. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, I would say if I'm looking at New York and I'm in your spot, I'm looking more Trocheck than Panarin. Reason why is because what jumps off the page of me when I look at the lineup for the Red Wings is their second line center, Andrew Kopp. I don't know. I see that guy as more of a third line center, so I'd rather get a Trocheck in there.
A center would. Yeah. Center feels
good call,
like
Aaron.
It makes more sense, right? A center, because their wings are really good. I do. Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like the center is a better move if you're going to make.
Yeah. And I like Trocheck. I mean, not a huge pedigree of playoff experience playing in New York, but he's played at least a couple of rounds. But the thing, so that'd be my number one if I'm a Wings fan. But I'm not gonna thumb my nose at Panarin. He played. Remember, Kane, DeBrincat, Panarin all play well together. They've all played in various forms of on the Blackhawks. Never. I don't think, memory's little foggy on that. I don't remember if they ever overlapped a year. I don't think they did, but if they did, they probably scored a ton of goals. But the only reason I'm hesitant on Panarin, he's had one good year in the playoffs, and that's with the Rangers. The other times he's played in the playoffs, he's played in the playoffs a couple of times, but he's always a first round exit. He stinks in the playoffs. He's a with the exception of last year, he is a regular season merchant. He gets all his points there, and he's an elite scorer in the regular season. He just doesn't show up in the playoffs. So that's my only. I mean, you could probably say that about any of the guys, but that again strengthens my position on Trocheck. The only other two that are non-Rangers, I would say Elias Pettersson, but then you're eating a ton of money. I do not see Yzerman eating that contract. I don't know, as a Wings fan, if you feel differently on Pettersson. He's having a great year. He's scored 100 points in NHL.
He's like my least favorite players. Like, I know he's good. I know he's supposed
well,
to
that's a no then.
He's one of my least favorite players. He feels like a guy who is not. Toast, tell me if I'm wrong here. He feels like a guy that doesn't fit who Detroit is as a team. I don't know, man. I know he's got a lot of talent. That Vancouver team has just soured me on so many of those guys. They soured me on so many of those guys at this point. Oh,
yeah, we've trashed him so many times on this show, especially around the playoffs times, right, Aaron? I mean, and that $11.6 million contract per year, and he's only in the second year of it, and actually has 6 more years after that. Like, no thanks.
Yzerman's not paying that.
No,
I want to save that money for somebody much better than him. If it was like a rental, maybe, but I'm like, I'm not with that contract. I don't want that contract.
Well, and JT, here's the good thing too. Detroit's in probably some of the best spot, like you said, as far as being able to take on contract. They got $14 million in cap. They don't actually have anybody right now on LTIR. They actually are retaining one contract right now for $100,000, and I don't know where that meaning that. I'm sorry. New York is actually retaining one contract for $100,000 right now. So they still actually have 2 retention spots actually left, but I don't think you even need it, because here's the deal, like $14,000. Yeah, you still want New York to retain, but if you don't want New York to retain and you basically like, I'll take on the whole 11.6 or whatever it is, then that's less you have to give up. Yeah. Like that's less you have to give up as far as picks, as far as, young talent that's in the pool. So if basically New York, is able to unload that entire $11.6 million. I know it's prorated, right? So you're probably only looking at 6, 5.5, something like that. Nevertheless, but still, that gives them a lot more flexibility to kind of go out and kind of do what they want and be very active at this deadline here, and maybe even some retention of some other contracts and stuff, because they only have like $4 million left underneath the cap here. So it just, Detroit, for me, like they have the ability to take on the entire remainder of the contract and still not sweat any bullets at all. That makes them that just gives them options, and it makes them a very attractive trade partner, in my opinion. So, I don't know. I'll go Detroit. I never actually thought I'd actually say that, but hey, I hate Detroit. But it's like, hey, like I want to see him in that sweater. Plus, I definitely don't disagree with Aaron what you said. Trocheck does make a whole lot of sense, especially if you're looking to bolster up the middle there. Yeah, Copp. Again, if you're one of those top 6, 7, 8 teams in the league, Copp's not your second center. Okay, he's your third and maybe even your fourth. So like, who knows? With $14 million in cap space, maybe they're not actually looking to actually make a splash on just one guy. Maybe they're looking to make a splash on multiple. So I would be interested to see what Detroit does, because they don't have to, with all that cap space of 14 mil, they don't have to they're in a position where they don't have to really expose their entire future. Let's just put it that way. Their picks and their young talent. They don't have to do that. They have all kinds of space to work with there.
Yeah, I think there's a chance they would do that. And we got a comment here from our buddy Patrick Quinn. Thanks for joining us, Patrick. He says, I don't know a whole lot about fantasy hockey. But Toast, you make things interesting. That he always does. Toast always does make things interesting. Patrick, one of my we're co-owners in a C2C campus to Canton League, college football and NFL on the same team. We played running back together in high school. So Patrick, thanks for jumping on here.
Well, and Patrick, I'll say something right now. You call you call me interesting. JT reverted Van Riemsdyk as Van Riemsdyk at the beginning of the show. So what do you want me to do here?
I didn't even realize I said that. So there you go.
You did. Yeah.
We like to keep things interesting on this show. That's what we do. That's what we do. It's fantastic. Yeah, I think the Wings can go a lot of ways. Here's the one thing I've thought about over the last decade or so. When teams are like, "Oh, we have time," I feel like you don't always have time. People always think like, "Oh, next year, we're gonna get there," and then teams miss their window. I mean, we could go over, endless teams and endless sports about teams that missed their window because they didn't go for it. If I'm Stevie Y, we're like in the mix. Are they the best team? No. Could they get out of the East? Possibly. I mean, the Avalanche, we get a Rings Avalanche Stanley Cup final would be insane. Go back to the old school days. But sometimes I think you just got to make that move. Sometimes you can't think like, it was future. They've been doing that. And I like the build that they've been building, but to just sit there and be like, next year. You can't always keep saying next year. At some point you have to, jump in full force, put all the chips in the pot and go for it. Patrick laughed at that. He's like, we do make things interesting. That's what we do here.
Well, and I'm just checking here as well. The Rangers, I stand corrected. They have all 3 retention spots available. So, again, you expect the Rangers to be very active. They have 3 retention spots available. You can retain up to 50% of a contract. They're not going to want to retain anything long term. Now, with Trocheck, he's 32 years old. He's got 4 years left on the deal at 5 point something, which is a really, really attractive contract for a guy. Wow. It's still playing at a really high level. You're right, Aaron. Like, that's the more attractive piece. Now you start looking at it. And in Detroit, the second most cap room in the entire NHL right now, only to actually be better by the Blackhawks and also the San Jose Sharks. And that goes to show you the Sharks have they're not looking to unload, so retention spots for them does not matter. But nevertheless, the San Jose Sharks should be active, right? They should be active. Yeah. They've already actually been a little bit active. They should be. You look for them to make a big splash here as well. They got prospects galore. You actually have picks there as well. You got all the cap space. You're a little bit earlier, and you actually want to be. We'll be interested to see what San Jose does here to trade deadline.
Yeah, I think Detroit's holding a pretty big trump card as well. Well, 2 of them actually. And I don't know the guys' names, but I know they got some goalies in the pipeline. They got 2 that look to be long-term solutions. We already talked about how they're getting good goaltending now. So they got goaltending. I think that it's at a level that can get them through the playoffs, and the guys that they've got there do have some playoff experience. So again, I go back to that. If I'm thinking of Detroit and I want to make a run at this, but you're exactly right. Well, both of you are right, especially you, JT, about, hey, it's at some point you got to push the chips in. Remember, Eisenman took some heat last year for doing nothing. They were on the verge of making the playoffs. He chose not to do anything. I don't think he's going to do that again. And I think he can probably he can also say, well, I told you so, now's our time. We're going to do it now. We're going to see. He's got 14 million to play with, like you said, Toast. So it's all lining up for him to get one of these bigger names, or maybe it's Kadri out of Calgary. That guy went deep in the playoffs. The last thing I'll say on this, or last comment I've got at least for it, is look in the East right now who's punching their ticket for a playoffs. There's really only 2 teams that scare me, or 2 teams that seems to be those playoff behemoths. That's Carolina, that get just fed to the Panthers every time they play them, and the Lightning. Right now, Florida doesn't have a spot. Now, does that say that they're not going to have one? No, they'll probably make a run. We've seen them before. I would count on Florida. When Florida gets in, now you got something to worry about. But these other guys, they have just as little experience. I like Detroit better than all these other teams. I like them better than Montreal. I like them better than Pittsburgh. I like them God, I love them way more than Boston. So all these teams right now that have a spot, Detroit gets, one of these guys. I think that they easily they slide in right under in terms of, if we're talking odds, you want to take a future on them. They're right under Tampa Bay. They're right under Carolina for coming out of the East. Now that said, the West, they don't have a chance. None of these guys have. The West will win the Cup. I don't care if it's Dallas, although they're not playing very well. Colorado, they keep rolling. They're not going to stop. They probably just give them the Cup now. But these West teams are loaded. They're absolutely loaded. They're going to crush. Or the Oilers. Could be the Oilers. I mean, 3 years in a row, there's no way they're going to go that deep and not walk away with the Cup. If they can get out of the West, they'll raise the banner. It's got to go to the West this year. So, but again, we see it more than hockey, than any other sport. You make it to the conference final, or maybe even get out of the first round. You get that playoff experience under your belt. You get one of these veterans, maybe a guy that you can carry into next year. But Detroit's the team right now that all these guys are hitting their stride, and they're just going to be a constant, just like they were, a decade ago. They're going to be in every year. They're young. He did it right. He didn't listen to the critics, and it's fun to watch. We'll see which one they get. I don't know. I hope they get one. I really do.
I would love to see him make a move.
Well, and real quick, JT, I want to mention something about Detroit. I know you had mentioned, and Aaron, you'd actually mentioned their goalie play, especially at the minor league level. And Sebastian Casa is their.
That's him. Yeah,
he is their prized possession. 15th overall pick in the 2021 draft. The guy's 6'7". Okay, but also,
dude, he has been a beast this year.
Yes,
tell me you have his numbers. Tell me his numbers.
I have him right here in front of me.
He has been an absolute monster in the minors this year.
Yep. So this year he's got a 177 goals against, a 933 save percentage, and 22 starts as a 23-year-old drafted in the first round, which is very rare for a goalie to be drafted in the first round. Spencer Knight was a first-round draftee by the Florida Panthers when he was actually taken. And 106 games played in the AHL, a 236 goals against average, a 915 save percentage, 62 and 27. He's got all of the numbers to back it up. He's got the size. I'm not going to pretend to sit here I actually know a whole lot about goalies, but you look like you have a goalie that's ready to come up next season, right? Next season, like he should be ready. He's completed his third full season at AHL. This team's going nothing but up. It's time for them now to take some of that cap money, and especially with the cap going up, and make a splash here at the deadline. They need to do something.
Toast, I think if the Wings were in complete rebuild mode, if they were like where the Blackhawks are right now with just nothing but young guys, I think Casa would be playing right now. The only reason he's not is because they're in the playoff mix and they're like, hey, we want to hold him back. He's going to be in the mix. After the Gibson trade, Red Wings in the offseason, fans were like, we got to bring him up. We got to bring him up. And they're like, oh, we just don't know if he's 100% ready to take on that kind of heat for a potential playoff team. I love him. I think he's really good, man.
Here's what I don't understand. He's available in our home league, and he's out there. You know what got him? Like I don't understand. I don't understand.
I know. I'm actually mad at myself. The only reason I
you can have him for $1. You can have him for $1.
We only start. Here's the only reason I don't have him. I'll tell you the only reason I don't have him is we have only 10 spots. We only start one goalie. We only have 10 minor league spots. And I really like my minor leaguers. Like I am loaded with nothing but top 10 minor leaguers, like all my guys. So I'm like, Toast. It's funny you said that. I was hoping no one else noticed. I was going to let the season. I was going to let the season slide out, and then I was going to pick him up right at the end of the year.
JT, you can get rid of Shakir Muhammad, the 24-year-old defenseman. You can just punt him to the earth, right?
He is my drop. He is my drop.
You went right now.
I was playing him because he was playing earlier in the year, so I was getting points out of him. And then he got hurt. I was using an IR spot, but now my IR is so full. I have like 75 guys on IR. I'm like, oh, now I'm just going to drop and pick up Casa. I was hoping no one noticed because I kept looking. I've been looking. Toast, I've literally been looking at for 3 weeks. Like going, should I pick him up? Should I pick him up? Should I pick him up?
Get him. I have a goalie. I have a goalie in mind, even though we only start one. I carry in one goalie into minors. Why not? So
I got a million goalies in our categories league. People keep everyone in the league has hit me up. You want to trade a goalie? I'm like, nope. I already traded Hellebuck to you.
So you already traded all your good ones to me. Yeah.
Now I'm holding up. Now I'm holding on to everybody else I have. I have a ton of goalies, a bunch of young guys. Everybody's like, "You want to trade a goalie?" I'm like, I don't think so. I think I'm just gonna hold on to all these guys. So, so that's a guy. I like that. So it'll be interesting.
JT, I tell you what, real quick, Senators Avalanche. It's 2-1 now at the end of second. So Senators did retake that lead. So I would imagine right now Colorado on the live, they're probably still a -135 on the live. Just want you to check on that. But if they're plus money, that may be the way to go. And if you can actually get them at a over 3.5 goals, like if they're going to win this game, they're going to take the lead here soon. They're going to explode. They're going to get the empty netter and all that. And so you almost can parlay those two together. If they're going to win, they're going to win by a couple. They're going to explode to third. You know how they are. So
that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm trying to pull it up, see where we're at on that one. I think you're right. It's right now. Oh, it's plus 180 Avs to win it.
Oh,
I think I have to jump on that. There's no way I can't jump on that. What do we think? Under over 7.5 goals in the Islanders game. With 7:23 left. Do they score another one? There's no way they pull the goalie down 3, right? So just let that one.
I'm gonna go under on that. I'm gonna go.
What'd you guys find out? What was it?
Avalanche are plus 180. I think we have to jump on
that. On the whoa.
Plus 180 money line.
Yeah.
Just money line.
Jeez. Okay, I know the ads have actually been for them, right? Slumping of late. For them. But oh man, I mean
they lost to a period.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean this 180, that's
so
insane.
Hey guys, as we say that here, let's get into some betting talk.
Where's my money? You gonna give me my money? Where's my money, man?
Usually we bring up the betting segment right away at the beginning of the show to make sure you can get your bets in, but every game had already started before we were on air tonight, so we did not jump into the betting show early. But now our first bet of the night, jump in immediately. Avs plus 180 down 2-1 against the Senators. I love that bet. I am all over that. Just jumped in. Toast, let's talk about a few other bets since we're already in this thing tomorrow. If your guys are looking at, because it's such a small slate and so few teams played, this is a rare opportunity where we get a ton of lines already up for tomorrow. So you can. I've not looked at all the player props. I'm not sure all the player props are up yet, but a lot of lines are up.
Yeah, I like one already.
Jump in here. Tell me who you like. I'm pulling them up, looking through the lines on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, so there's Flyers Bruins tomorrow, and I'll tell you what, the Bruins actually score goals in bunches at home. And now this last game they only put 3 up and they won in overtime. And the reason I know that because I won part of the parlay there. But the Flyers Bruins, and with Flyers playing, they're playing right now, and I would imagine they probably actually have Vladar in goal, which means that Erson's actually going tomorrow. Erson's not very good at all, especially on that back-to-back going over to the Bruins. I like the Bruins for over 2.5 goals. Now you're like, okay, Toast, it's only gonna be like a -180. It's a parlay piece. That's my new thing now, guys. All right, you get 2 or 3 teams over 2.5 goals, and you actually look in good spots. You can parlay it for like plus 300. It's great.
Tell us about your 2.5 goals parlay you had last night. You hit it. Tell the people what you had. I thought it was a great bet. I mistakenly jumped on the Red Wings, added the Red Wings to your parlay, and it cost me. Stupid me. I should have just taken your parlay, tailed it straight up. I added the Red Wings for a little extra juice, and they lost. So hey, tell everybody, because you've been doing this a little bit lately. I like this. Yep. It's over 2.5 team goals.
Yeah, so it was interesting. I got the Blackhawks last night. So my 3-leg parlay was the Hawks at Minnesota Wild for over 2.5 goals. You're like, Toast, like how? But Wallstead hadn't been that good actually of late at all. Is actually the rumor is the fact that they'd like to go ahead and move him, and every single day they actually can't move him, the value just gets lower because he just has not actually performed all that well at all. Blackhawks over 2.5 goals. That hit last night. They had 3, and then they coughed up the lead, right? And they lost 4-3 in overtime. That's the Hawks, right? Young team, everything else. And I also actually had the Bruins at home versus Nashville, over 2.5 goals as well for the Bruins team total. And Saros has actually been pretty bad of late as well. But that was a 3-2 game. I had to sweat that one out. It hit. And then, of course, the wagon, man, which is the Sabres. Aaron, I saw that they're 26-1 since December 1st, I think, or it's been a while back, right? I think since December 1st. And this condensed schedule that we actually have that is leading up to the break here, man, I tell you, there's a lot of teams that are on like, oh, we got 10 games in 16 days. Like it's been insane, man. And but Buffalo has not missed a beat, and they're going into a Toronto team last night who they're just hot garbage right now for me anyway, personally. So I had the Hawks over 2.5 goals, Boston over 2.5 goals, and the Sabres over 2.5 goals, and only had to sweat that Boston one, and it hit, and that was a nice. It was again, it was 25 for 103, but it was just not stressful at all, So it was a nice little hit there, and that's my thing is, and that was at plus. Well, I can't see it right here, but anyway, I think it was at plus 300, something like that. So you could put two of these together over 2.5 goals just for two teams, and you could probably get plus 150, 175. And a lot of times it's not that difficult. So I think that's my new thing.
Like I said, I made the mistake. I threw on Red Wings at home money line against the Kings. They got down 2-0, looked terrible all night. Got a late goal for Jabrinket, and then it looked like Patrick Kane was going to break the U.S. scoring record. Yeah. Got a pass, backside, clipped it, looked like it was going to be good, and he just got a foot on it, just got the pad on it to block it on the backside, so he's still tied up. Let's get into that for a minute. Patrick Kane, 1 point away from taking out Mike Modano as the all-time leader for U.S. players in points in the NHL. That's pretty awesome. Pretty amazing. You guys both, obviously, Blackhawks fans. I like Kaner. He's American. I love him. Now he's on the Wings. I make him like him even more. I mean, this is a pretty unreal accomplishment, right, guys? I mean, this, like what you saw at the beginning of his career. I mean, everybody thought he was going to be good. I don't know if everybody thought he was going to be this good. He took a lot of heat early on. It's kind of being a, playboy guy, and he is really settled down and been just an insanely good player. Do you guys think he goes down as the best American-born player ever?
Yeah, even if for some crazy reason he didn't get the extra point he needs, even if he ties Modano, yes. I think what edges him out is the number of cups. I think what Modano had one, that was in Detroit. Or was he there? Because I don't think he was there in Dallas when Dallas won, was he?
Maybe he was. Hey, that means he was a rental for a cup. You're right; it doesn't count. So you're right.
I gotta look that up.
I can't. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got a mug, but Kane's got 3. He was Conn Smythe in one of them. Yeah, I honestly do, and more than anything, we kind of touched on Kane a little bit too before. Didn't quite, like you said, JT, didn't quite know where his career was going to go. Had a couple of dust ups, whatever. I would say the stuff that he did is probably, as times progress, probably wouldn't even make the back page of the paper when we see what well, so what, he's had a scuffle with a cab driver. Maybe the other stuff was
he had it coming to him, I bet.
Right. Yeah, who cares? Yeah. I would say more than anything, kind of at least for me again, and we've talked about this before, is when the game changed to a speed game and it went from those power forwards, the clutching and grabbing stopped, and it was intentionally done by the NHL. I'm a fan. I loved the old school, and we talk about that. We're all about the same age. We love the Bob Probert days. We love the, drop the gloves, Tony Twist here locally, playing on Peoria, Kelly Chase, the Bruce brothers, just pounding guys. So much fun as a kid. Don't get me wrong, I love that aspect of the game, but from the clutching and grabbing and the big head hunting hits and the Scott Stevens and knocking out Paul Kariya and ending Eric Lindros's career, those days are long gone. I think Kane was at the forefront of that. He's the little speedy, shifty, crafty guy. He changed the game when the game was changing. And that's why I think he's the best. The mugs, plus he changed the game. You got the smaller stature guys. You got DeBrincat scoring at will. You've got Quinn Hughes out there, water bug dancing everybody around. You got Cole Caulfield just dumping in goals one after another. Bedard, Celebrini, all these guys. And when I say smaller stature, I'm talking guys 6 foot and under.
Yeah.
The game changed. They changed with it. He led it. He led it in my eyes, in my mind. He did. He was one of the leaders of that, and he's American. So that's extra. So yeah, I think best of all time. I don't think there's much question.
Before Toast jumps in here and gives his 2 thoughts, just a couple things on Mike Modano for the people that are not as old as us. Mike Modano, first overall pick by the North Stars, the old school Minnesota North Stars in 1988. His first overall pick out of Michigan. Grew up in Michigan, 6'3", 211. He won the 99 Stanley Cup with the Dallas Stars. That was their first ever cup.
Well, okay.
The controversial triple overtime with Brett Hull's skate was in the crease and they didn't call it and gave him the goal. And they beat the Buffalo Sabres. So one Stanley Cup for Modano, 99, first ever for the Stars. That was the Dallas Stars, not the Minnesota North Stars, which is his original team. So he did get one, number 1 overall pick in 1988.
Oh, quick shout out for Modano. So, I joke around. I had a buddy that's real hardcore Stars fan, loved Modano, followed him. My cousin actually took care of Modano's kids. She lived in Dallas. So Pat Verbeek, who is the GM of the Anaheim Ducks, he was a little rat. He played for Dallas. That was who she got in with first. Like au pair, whatever they call the live-in nannies, was au pair for Pat Verbeek and then Mike Modano. So a bit of a personal. I never met him. I never got to meet him.
There you go.
But my cousin Andrea worked for him. So he's a great guy, great family. Good community down there with the Dallas Stars. And they were relatively new to Dallas. I remember the whole thing. They were Minnesota North Stars, went down to Dallas. So it was all when that was kind of going on. Modano's at the forefront. And I will say this, last nice thing I'll say about Modano, he was kind of a Blackhawk killer. So as a child, I didn't really care. I was always booing him, but he's got an awesome statue down there. I think we brought that up when they unveiled it, but it's got the sweater flowing behind him. They put the green in on it. So it's, good for him, but hey, you're second best now. You're yesterday's news, bud. Get lost, get back in line. You'll be second fiddle here before too long.
Well, and yeah, Aaron, and 3 things here real quick. And I say like Toast, 3 things. Jesus. I mean, 1, Senators just took a 3-1 lead on Avalanche. Okay, so now you can double down. You can double down if you really wanted to.
Now I gotta double down and get back in on this.
There's still 17 minutes left in the third. So early on, so it's now or never. Time. Okay, now or never. Number 2. I mean, the Minnesota North Stars actually moving to Dallas. If anything, they should have moved to Fargo. Okay, I mean, wouldn't that have been great? Like, move to Fargo. The North Stars belong in Fargo, and I've been watching some Fargo lately. But then 3, so we all agree that, and I would think a lot of people would agree that Kane is the best American-born player of all time.
Yeah,
and he'll go down as the best ever. Given his age and where he's at in his career, this would be his last chance for an Olympic bid. But yet he was not selected on the team. And I'm not going to say that he should have been, but I can also say that maybe he should have been. And as I say that, the Avalanche just scored another goal. It's now 3-2. Again, as we said before,
just jumped on a plus 210.
Yeah, they're
I'm just going to keep hammering bets like right now. I'm hammering Colorado on the money line.
Yep. So I'm going to read off these wingers' names. And I want you guys to come up with the one winger on the USA roster, which I got my USA hockey shirt that came in the mail. I'm going to put that son of a bitch on. I'm very excited. But I'm going to read off these wingers. And I want you to see if there's one winger that stands out that you could actually say, you know what, Kaner could be in for this guy. And I would have picked Kaner over this guy. So I'm going to read these off. Matthew Tkachuk, Brady Kachuk, Matt Boldy, Kyle Connor, Jake Gensel, JT Miller, who also plays some center, I think, and then Clayton Keller. So if there was any of those guys that you could make an argument that Kane, hey, they should have maybe done him right, had him on that team, who you actually replacing on that roster and actually slotting Kane in?
I mean, for me, the only one would be JT Miller, but I'd be hesitant on that. I like his game. He's a nasty bastard, so I kind of like that, having that guy on the team, and he's gonna chirp Canada. I mean, we're built to play Canada. It's not to say somebody else can sneak up and snatch a win from us, or hopefully, we don't get a reverse 1980 Olympic drama here where somebody just upends or supersedes one of the two big ones, Canada or U.S. But that aside, I'd say that's probably my only guy, and that's borderline. I would not. If that were to happen, I would be bitching about it. So no, I'm for nostalgic reasons. I okay, fine, but no, I'd rather win the gold. I'd rather stick it to Canada, and to do that, I think we got the right roster. Missing Robinson though, that's a miss, and I'm still pissed about it. But anyway.
Miller or Keller would be the guys that I would be like, maybe just because, especially Keller, a little bit younger guy, maybe give Kaner over him. But it does feel like the U.S., they built this team and they're like, we want to go a little brutish, right? They feel like we're gonna pound some people. We're gonna get in here. We're gonna play tough. We're gonna play hard. Everybody else is want to play fancy in the Olympics and skate around super fast and do tricks, and we're just gonna hammer everybody. It feels like they're like, we're just putting out the brutish defense, shut people down type of team. Like that feels like what this Olympic team, what they've decided they're gonna do. Like we just want to be like nastier than anyone else in this Olympics. So Kane, obviously, he doesn't really fit that mold, right? He fits the mold of like some of the European teams, like and things like that. So I can see him maybe going away from that. I would love to see him on the team just for like almost like in golf, where they give you like the tip of the hat, like take that guy, put him on the roster anyway. I would have probably put him on for Clayton Keller, only because of Kaner just earning it and Keller being the young guy who's going to get more shots. That would have been my only change. I would have put Kaner on there for that.
And that's who I actually had identified as well. I think that Patrick Kane, based on all the intangibles he actually brings, based on the fact that like Austin Matthews like idolizes the guy, and so many of these guys on the roster do as well, and the fact that Kane still has great hands. He still, when he's healthy, he can still play at a very, very high level. I actually take him over Clayton Keller. I really do. I think that it would actually have been a better selection. I think that actually the leadership, there would have been no negatives of that as well. It almost would have been like when USA actually had the dream team back in 1992. They brought Larry Bird. I mean, like, come on, like, I'm not saying like
great example,
but they
great example. Was Larry Bird one of the best players in the world at that point? No,
probably
he
not.
Was
but
way he was way past his prime.
Yeah,
but they did it. I agree with you. That's 100%. That's a great comparison. Like Larry Bird had to be on the team. I don't care if he was 6 years past his prime. I felt the same way with Kane. I felt like this is the last time you got to get Kane on that team, especially if you interview damn near everybody on that American team. Every one of those guys was like, Patrick Kane made me believe that I could make the NHL and I could be a stud as a American-born player. Because people forget, like, there's been a lot of American-born players in the NHL. Have there been a ton that have been absolute studs? Very few. Like, he was one of the first guys that was like, Madonna getting taken number one overall was huge. Like, you don't usually see USA guys getting taken number one overall. So that was huge when Madonna got taken one. And then Kane, there's a whole generation of people like all they did was look at Patrick Kane was their Michael Jordan. was there
Yeah.
LeBron James. Like
Right.
that he was the guy that they looked at like, oh man, that could be me one day.
Yeah, I would like to have seen it. It would have been great. I mean, we all love Kane, right? But I just think that makes a whole lot of sense. And but then again, we got to remind ourselves the Dream Team actually went through, and they had other countries actually comparing them to aliens, if I remember right, back in '92. For the Dream Team. I mean, now the USA is going to go up against Canada, right? I mean, the competition is much more stiff, and I get it. But I again just look at Keller and what he's probably going to do, and Kane, what he could have actually brought. I thought Kane probably been a better selection. Now that means I'm actually going to go bet the hell out of Keller because I said that now, and Keller's actually going to go. He's going to just tear shit up, and we are going to have an Olympic podcast, just Olympics, right? We're going to go crazy with this Olympics, guys, just like we did Four Nations.
I love it. I can't wait. I got Olympic fever. Now I'm looking at prices for these sweaters too. I got to get maybe a check.
They're
sweater or
expensive.
something like that. Oh my God, they are.
boys.
I'm not finding anything less than $450.
Yeah, and the sweatshirts are $200. Like, man, I bought a T-shirt for $50. So
I was in an auction the other day trying to buy a Team Sweden jersey with Nicholas Lindstrom and Zetterberg signed Olympic jersey. I was like in the bidding forever and got up to like over 200 plus, and I was like, I might have to pull out. But it was a Team Sweden jersey with like all the guys signed on it, man. I was like, I'm still probably gonna regret that I didn't just keep betting up a little bit more and get it because it was awesome. But that was great. Hey, we're down to the last 15 minutes of the show. Let's talk about some fantasy hockey to finish things up.
But hey, as they say in hockey, let's do that hockey.
For most leagues, this is going to be your last week of the regular season before the playoffs. And then we have the huge break here coming up for the Olympics, everything else going on. Let's talk a little bit about where we're at this point. For most people, you're probably locked in. You're either in the playoffs, you're out of the playoffs. Me and Toast in our salary cap dynasty league, we are needing some help. We faced a tough schedule this year. We played pretty well, but man, we had injuries and we just went up against some tough teams at the wrong time. We are sitting, Toast, what are we, 8-7 currently? I think it is.
we've been scored on the second most in the entire league, and that is a 14 team league, and we're 6 out of 14 in scoring. So we're a playoff team. We've been cursed. Here's the deal. Like, I'm looking to next year. We got a couple first round picks too. So in this 2026 stud draft here, honestly, maybe it's not a bad thing. There's a couple elite teams in that stripe. Chris over from St. Louis, he actually runs our league. For Black Aces, he's really, really good. I mean, we weren't going to beat him anyway. We're not. I mean, so maybe it's a good thing.
This was a league, again, just to let people know, it's a salary cap league. We were absolutely freaking loaded. And then everybody resigned for big money, and we had to make a ton of trades because we were way over the salary cap. I mean, way over. Like, we had stud after stud after stud on a rookie deal, and when they all signed extensions, we were screwed. So we had to this was kind of our reset year. We had to trade away a lot of really good players just because we couldn't get under the cap. But we were still right in the mix. We still can make it. We'll see. It might be better off that we don't. But we're 8-7. We have 3 teams in us at 9-6. If we win this week, a couple of them lose, there's a chance we sneak in. But it's gonna be real close. Then the home league, I think we're locked in. I tell you, we talked about earlier, Gale. What a turnaround. Gale absolutely killed it, made 1 million trades. He's got the most points. If you don't do the last team in your playoffs as the most points scored, I'm telling you got to change that. Got to change that for a team that gets bad losses, gets in the most points. He is in now as the 6th seed with the last points. I've dropped down a couple spots. I'm going to miss the playoffs again. Hurts. Too many injuries for me. But I'm going to be fighting for that number 1 pick. In our league, we do teams that miss the playoffs, play through, fight for the number 1 pick, which I think is the way to go. It keeps people from just completely bailing in order to get the number 1 pick. So I love that idea. So we're doing that. I ended up winning the number 1 pick last year. Take my guy Frondell. I can't wait. Can't wait till he gets up there.
You'll see him. You'll see him this year.
I'm gonna see. I think we're gonna see him. I can't wait. I've been following him like crazy. The numbers are looking fantastic. So looking to get there, but he's in Crack House. Absolute domination. He told us I'll check back with you guys after the Olympics. He's at 14-1. He's dominating. Talk a little bit shit. Talk a little shit.
Yeah, you know what? He can though. He can do it.
He can because he crushed this year. 14-1. Toast, you're in second, and Aaron, you're in second. Tied for second. Both of you guys 10-5. 10-5. Great work by both of you guys. I'm on the other end of that. I'm 5-10. That hurts.
Hey guys, look at that. 10-5 for me. Second in points, been scored on second amount. Like, just again, but it's weathered a storm. You get there. So our trade deadline is Sunday. And so I expect
Me and Gail might make some moves still.
So Gail wants everybody to be active. If they don't call him back immediately or text back, like he's pissed, so you got to respond immediately. But the thing is like you got to look at the teams not making the playoffs or the team barely making the playoffs and look at all of those teams. And JT, you're one of those teams, and be like, okay, can I do business with them? How do they actually help me, and how do I actually help them right now? And this is a big time for both those. I mean, this is a critical time for both those teams in those different positions where you got playoff teams, you got non-playoff teams. This is a time for non-playoff teams to actually make a lot of quote unquote money. All right. They can really actually overcharge potentially and actually get a little bit more than they would normally would. And you got to strike now. And if you let that go and you're not aggressive at the deadline, you're losing out, especially with this 2026 draft coming up. And picks are very valuable, especially first rounders, because this draft is loaded, absolutely loaded. So I expected to be activity going on. I reached out to Jensen, who was not going to make the playoffs. Good team, real good team. He's got the most points out of everybody. Not going to make the playoffs, and it was trying to get Alex Lafreniere. I never can actually pronounce his name from the LA Kings. And
it's the one guy Toast F's up. That's the only guy he can't say. He doesn't say all the rushes, but he can't say Lafreniere.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. It's like that's kind of weird. Let's call him Lafreniere, but we already got one of those.
I know.
But I offered him, and he's got both those guys. But I offered him a 2027 first rounder, and Corey's response was, "Hey, don't really care about picks right now." Again, understand that and appreciate that, considering 2027 first. But also, that's where you got to kind of look at. Where's my roster? Where am I at? How realistic am I to actually competing right now? And if it's not too realistic, kind of like what Gale's done, he's in the playoffs, but Gale is selling off. And I think that's really, really smart because he's already got a good base under him. He already knows he can actually make the playoffs probably every year. And now he's actually at a point where, all right, I'm looking for next year, and I'm going to get ahead of this curve before everybody else. So I think it's a good move by Gale. Very, very good move.
Yeah. And to continue shitting on Jensen, I've been trying to just get Panarin. Panarin sucks. I've been throwing these blue chips, these guys with NHL experience that have, Easton Cowan, for example. Love or hate the Maple Leafs, they're a shit show. Everybody knows this, but Cowan's been getting some minutes. He's got a spot there. Sordif in Washington. Ryan Leonard, for God's sake. Decline. No counters. Like, what the hell? What are you doing?
He just doesn't like you. That's the problem.
I think it is. I think it's personal. Personal
between you and who?
Jensen. He said
he just doesn't want Aaron. He doesn't want Aaron to do well in the playoffs. He's trying.
I'm not going to do business now. I'm not going to
call up one of your best buddies and say, "Is this personal?" Come on.
Yeah. What are you thinking? These deals are great that I'm throwing at you. So I'm off of him. We'll see.
Yeah, there'll be some deals here, but
I think so.
This is a fun part of the time of the year. It really is because you start to do things, especially if you're in the mix. You start to do things that maybe you wouldn't actually do normally, right? And then whoa, that's a wild trade, So
sometimes you gotta go for it, Toast. Like in our home fantasy football league, I made some trades I usually would not make, but I never won the league. I was right in the mix. I went out there and I love draft picks. I'm a huge guy, especially in NFL. I want draft picks because I just feel like I draft better than most people because I know players
Yep.
better than most people because I watch a ton of college football. I do a ton of draft like stuff early in the draft. I do a ton of articles, so I feel like I'm in the know more. I made a ton of trades. I traded with a ton of people, and it worked out for me, though. It doesn't always, but it worked out. I won the championship this year. Super pumped. The guys I made the moves for ended up coming through for me. It hasn't always happened that way, but it did this year. Same thing might be in hockey. It might be one or two guys that make the difference for you. Maybe you have to give up more than you want. That happens, but at this time of year, sometimes, like I said, you only have a window so much. You got to go for it, right? You got to go for that championship. To bring up our listeners league here, we are
complete domination,
battle in listeners league right now. Toast is in first place, 13-3. He has clinched the number 1 seed. We got Jeff Dealer, work in progress, 11-5. We have 4 people tied at 11-5. That's how competitive this listeners league's been there. So Toast in first, 11-5. Dealer at 11-5, Scott DeWitt 11-5, Robert Riccio at 11-5, and me at 11-5. We're all in the playoffs. 100%. We've locked in, all of us. The last spot up for grabs, and he's got a 98% chance of getting in, is Habs and Habs not. Lillian Roshi.
Yeah.
If she can get in, like literally, Aaron, you're at 8-8, and PJ is at 8-8. You guys need to win both the last 2 weeks and then have her lose is your only. You have a 1% chance of making
Aaron,
the playoffs.
get up in your team's ass. All right?
You've lost 3 in a row. Aaron was in the mix. He's lost 3 in a row. You got a 1% chance right now of making the playoffs. So I think we probably have our top 6 in, but it's been a pretty competitive league up at the top. And if you look at points scored, I mean, a lot of us are right there in the mix. It's been a pretty good league for a one-off new league for people that haven't played. A few of us have played, obviously us, but people that hadn't played fantasy hockey.
A lot of new
it's been a fun league. Yeah, it's been a fun league.
Yeah, it has. I had an absolute just rocket of a start, and then reality set in, and that's that's the way it goes, man. That's the way it goes. And then just like you guys in the salary cap league, man, everybody's been wearing you two out. I was just looking at that as we were talking. I hadn't realized that the most points scored, everybody tees off on the poor house divided. So
they do.
Hey, there always is an element of luck, but I like what you said best about JT when you're referring to yourself in the football leagues you're in. There's nobody that does. Oh, if you can find them, I'd sure like to know, but I don't know who does more football podcasts than you. So yeah, knowing the draft and knowing the players and just regurgitating this over and over. Have a very good handle on everything. It makes that draft so much better. But even all of that skill and knowledge, there's still an element of that. You're still going to run into Toast. You and I went last week. Like we're playing in our home league for that second bye. Who was it that had the hat trick? Well, Bouchard had one, and then there was another.
Aaron,
Owen Tippett.
Yeah,
oh!
you said Owen Tippett's a bitch, is what you guys told me, and I said, you're right, and he probably is. But I had 4 hat tricks in 1 week, and I had 3 in 2 nights. So it's the way it goes. It's the way it goes, and I think it was still close, right, Aaron? I mean, it wasn't a blowout. I win by like 15 or 20. Like it wasn't like a blowout. But that's hockey.
Gail's got a trade here. He's telling everybody, he's like, hey, O'Reilly, Zibanejad, Raquel goes for any 22-8 third round.
He's so full of crap. Yeah. But I will say for Gail, I do know that those 4 guys, they can be had. They can be had a better price than that 2028 third. I know that, but they could actually they're on the block, right? And those are what I call bottom guys, and that sounds kind of weird to say. They're bottom guys, right? But bottom guys, you want to be able to build up those bottom guys on your roster where you're like, man, I tell you what, my 4 pretty strong. looking pretty good. Got a lot of good bottom guys, where there's not a huge drop off. So, and all of those guys right there are great bottom guys where they're all older. But for a championship roster, they're perfect. They're absolutely perfect. Are you willing to actually spend maybe a 2027 first rounder or something like that for one of those guys? Maybe, right? Maybe, because who gives a shit? We're worried about the draft picks later. We'll worry about them later. We'll deal with that later on. Let's go for it.
Yeah. Final thoughts for you guys. We're at the hour mark. That thing went quick. Toast, give me your final thoughts, and then Aaron after that.
Yeah, so final thoughts are the fact that we actually have the Avalanche and Senators. It's a 3-2 game, 3:48 left in the third. There's a timeout, or not a timeout, but just breaking the action right now. You're gonna look for.
I'm watching. That's what I'm saying. We got to get this over with. So I can
you're gonna look for a pulled goalie here.
Down multiple times on the Avs here.
Yeah,
in this game.
Yeah, you're gonna look for a pulled goalie here. If anybody can actually do it, the Avs can actually do it. But guys, I am really looking forward to this Olympics. As much as I'm looking forward to the playoffs coming out about fantasy, which is the best time of the year. It really, really is. It's almost better for me than the actual NHL playoffs. It really is. But the Olympics is going to be amazing. And we may end up getting some special podcasts out here where we decide to get on just on a whim and actually do multiple times in 1 week, because we're excited. We're pumped. This comes around every 4 years.
And it gives me a good
roster. It's gonna be great.
It gives me a good excuse to wear all my Olympic jerseys.
So my gosh! JT, you might as well turn around the camera and show everybody all of your freaking jerseys. It's insane the amount of hockey jerseys JT has. So pick one, man. Get on the rack and pick one.
Yeah, everybody's represented over there at JT's crib. But and I would say the same thing. Olympic fever, full on. Cannot wait. And once a day, I usually start my day. Got a little bit. Got one of my daughters that I take to school every day. Freebird is on the playlist every morning. We start our day with Freebird. Nice. So I hope that's still their song because it was kind of fun last year. I don't know. Maybe they'll go with something else, different team, different song. But I'm assuming that Freebird will be the team song or the goal song that they play. So I can't wait. Go USA.
Yeah, and JT, real quick, be on Artemi Panarin watch. All right. Again, we know that Detroit's going to make a splash at some point. They're going to. They have to. So be on watch.
Yeah, I think they're going to make a move. I really do. I like Panarin, but I think Aaron brought the thing. I think center might be the spot they actually need the most. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us. That's going to do it for us here on the Round the Ice podcast on Fantasy and Frames. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week on Wednesday. We'll talk about fantasy playoffs as we're heading into that. And
playoffs?
Then we'll be looking at the Olympics, like you said. I've been literally, I can't even tell anybody. My favorite Olympic sport ever is Olympic hockey. Olympic hockey is the greatest. So
there is a Miracle on Ice documentary is coming out Friday on Netflix. Be there.
I've already got the reminder on. I got the reminder set to tell me when it pops on. So Thank you everybody. For Toast, for Aaron, I'm JT. We appreciate it. See you guys next time.